As part of Ferrari Fridays, William Ross from the Exotic Car Marketplace will be discussing all things Ferrari and interviewing people that live and breathe the Ferrari brand. Topics range from road cars to racing, drivers to owners, as well as auctions, private sales, and trends in the collector market.
Welcome back to the Ferrari Marketplace podcast. I'm your host, William Ross. Before we jump into this, I want to give a shout out to our supporters and sponsors. First, the Exotic Car Marketplace, exoticcarmarketplace.com for everything exotic cars from Ferrari and Porsche, Lamborghini, and Koenigsegg. To the Motoring Podcast Network, check out the family of automotive podcasts at motoringpodcast.net. If you're into anything with wheels and a motor, this is the site to check out and listen to your favorite podcast. To Grand Touring Motorsports, covering all aspects of auto racing, and be sure to check out the monthly e-zine at gtmotorsports.org. And finally, our favorite slot mod guys at slotmods.com. For the coolest slot tracks in the world, check out their website and let your imagination run wild. This week, we are going to be talking about Ferrari's latest, I don't want to say onslaught. God, I'm trying to think of what the right word would be to say this. Their latest thing to rail against, I guess you could say, and attacking owners and what someone's allowed to do with their car after they buy it. Now, they put out a presser in regards to stating, and I'm sure they were kind of doing this, but I don't know how wild they let people get. But in their personalization program, obviously those lucky few that are in that little family or whatever, they get to choose and customize their cars from the factory. Ferrari says they're going to tighten the reins, so to speak, on what someone's going to be allowed to do, can't do, or what they're going to let someone do. Now, obviously, I don't think they're going to let them come out of the factory like in polka dots and stuff like that. But as the YouTube generation and Instagram, TikTok, and all that gets bigger and more influential and people needing to stand out from the guy next to them, so to speak. So they're doing stupider, wilder, crazier things with their car. Ferrari's just not going to let you come out of the gate swinging for the fences with the car from the factory that's customized to the tilt. So they're going to get really stringent and strict in regards to what you're going to be able to do. And this is going to come down to color combinations too. I don't think they're going to let someone go nuts with the color interior choice. Like, even if you're doing a solid exterior, then, you know, your interior colors, they're not going to let someone go with a yellow exterior, red interior with green stripe, something stupid that makes it look like it's a hamburger topping on it, just like with lettuce, tomato, ketchup, all mustard and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to get a little more strict in regards to that because I think they're, looking at obviously resale side of it. And I would say, looking out for that purchaser because you get more and more individualized with your options and choices with what you do for your cars from the factory or even after the fact. I mean, you really narrow down your buying audience when you go to resell that car. I mean, and it's with any car, Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, any car, Chevy, doesn't matter. If you get stupid with some combos and stuff like that, your buying pool gets very, very small because now you're talking about someone's personal preference and taste. And let's face it, and to try and remedy some of those things, even though you're working with a great solid base, you're working with a 296 or 488, whatever. Okay, you can go back and you can change it. It's one thing to do it on, say, a Chevy Corvette or something like that, where I say it's relatively cheap, so to speak. You got your Ferrari tax, so it's going to be a lot more expensive to get stuff back to either original or factory or what have you on a Ferrari than it is, say, on a Chevy or a Ford. So you got to look that way. Now, of course, people that are buying these things got the checkbooks in the pocketbook, to be able to remedy these things. But surprisingly, and I'm sure a lot of you probably do know this or aware of this, rich people are very, very cheap. Very, very cheap and stingy. I don't know, maybe that's the way they are rich. They hold on to the money because they just are very, very cheap. I mean, I tell you horror stories. People trying to save, $100 or something like that, and the guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He wants to save $100 and cheapen out. This kind of goes back to the shipping situation in regards to someone trying to go with the cheapest route for someone shipping their $1 million car. Why would you do that? So, and that's the scenario too, is they're going to go the cheapest route or they're going to expect it for free, everything like that, because as also rich people kind of anticipate the figure everyone should just give them everything because, I have all this money, just give me stuff for free. Their mentality and the way they view the world is so different from actual people that live in the real world compared to where they are. But anyways, and this kind of goes back to my last episode in regards to these annoying YouTubers and their statements they make about what they do with their cars. Ferrari's getting more and more strict, I guess you could say, in regards to sending out cease and desist letters and telling people, hey, you can't do that. Hey, you're diminishing our brand value because you're doing this to your car. Some of the people that I was referencing in my last episode, it's like they're just waiting, counting the days till they get the cease and desist. Will they get it? Who knows? On one side of it, they're worried about their brand and value and all that. Also, is on the other side, when you got someone that's got 4 or 5 million subscribers and they get, 500,000 views per video as soon as it drops, that's pretty good marketing. That's not costing you a penny. So it's kind of like, all right, where do you draw that line? And, I've heard the stories, people fiddle with it and they do certain things to it, but then they remove the badging. And if they don't refer to it as a Ferrari XYZ, whatever you want to call it, they kind of will leave you alone. But they get a little prickly when you start fiddling with something and you throw the Ferrari name in there and you put some other name or something to it, but then the car's like absolutely horrendously gaudy and ugly. Nothing against, I like some of the stuff Liberty Walk does. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff that their kits and stuff are pretty nice. They're pretty cool. Again, though, I'm a purist. I don't like things too obscene or too crazy because some of the things they put out there are just like way over the top. Now, I will say what they just did with that Lamborghini Miura is outstanding. That looks gorgeous. Subtle, but what they did was instead of like just doing some bolt-on stuff to the fenders and that stuff, they actually made whole clamshell, the whole thing and whatnot, so it's all one piece. So it all looks like it was almost from the factory. Not so much, okay, you just went down to AutoZone and bought yourself some mud guards and screwed them on with some tap screws. That kind of scenario. Sad to say some of this stuff does look like you get some of these guys that, again, trying to get views is, I'm going to buy something off of Temu and get it on there. Obviously, you could, any kid, you could buy anything from anywhere, high end, low end, whatnot. It's never always going to fit 100%. You're always going to have to fiddle with it. You're going to have to have body work done to it. It's just plain and simple. It's the way it is. Unless you build each kit specifically for each car, like you do a 3D scan of it, you got out your Ferro arm or whatever you're scanning, you scan that specific car, then you get it all made specifically for that car, then okay, but you still got to do some tweaks to it. But going back to this fiddling with the brand and image and what Ferrari's doing, and Porsche is notorious for this as well. I have a little backstory on that for a project that I was involved in for a period of time, but the lawyers got a hold of the one person that was involved that's kind of got the whole thing hatched, and they got their panties in a bunch because the way the verbiage word title was, or like that. Of course, then they got mad at me because I was out there trying to promote it a little bit, and I was using exactly what they had put out there in regards to the website, everything. So they get mad at me. It's like, well, they're going to find out at some point in time, so why are you mad at me? I don't get it. But again, it's always those people, they point fingers at everyone else instead of looking in the frickin' mirror and say, oop, you know what? I effed up, my bad. Oh, well, we got it taken care of, that kind of nonsense. But anyways, back to Ferrari. You're finding it more, I would say, with 458s are being, not saying notorious, but those are the ones you're seeing a lot of. Not so much 488s. 458s, there's a lot of aftermarket kits out there for those cars. Now, the one very high-profile celebrities that do some really obnoxious things with their car, i.e. there's one Canadian person that got blacklisted by Ferrari because he did some absolutely obnoxious things to his car. So, getting blacklisted, what's that going to do? Okay, you're not going to be able to buy a new one, but you can buy a used one, obviously. But they went so far, and I guess, and it's all how this person is using that vehicle in regards to image and branding and how Ferrari's perceiving it. Yes, they did some absolutely obnoxious, totally just horrendous. This thing looks horrible to the car. So kudos to Ferrari. Say, no, you can't do that. You can't have our emblems on there. You can't have any Ferrari branding on that car. And you cannot say anything saying that it is a Ferrari because that is not the Ferrari that left our factory. So you cannot say that. So that's kind of the big thing. It's like, look, if you're going to do it, you cannot put it out there that this is a Ferrari or this is my Ferrari, blah, 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 Bieber model. There you go. I said his name. That kind of scenario. So they keep track of that pretty tight. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how far they're going to go with it. Because I've been on the side that once I buy something, it's mine. I can do whatever the F I want with it. You can't tell me after the fact. That's what commerce is. You make something, you sell it, it's mine I own it. You don't own it anymore. You have no say in this situation. It's interesting this day and age. I don't know, just the lawyers are very good. How things are interpreted from one country to the next, I don't know. But I think it's rude, plain and simple. I just think it's wrong. You should be able to do what you want with your car after you buy it, and you can't have the manufacturer coming in dictating to you after the fact that, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like, hey, I just spent $500,000 on this car from you, even after the fact. It was a 10-year-old car. I bought it used for $200,000, and you're trying to tell me after the fact that I can't bolt this on, I can't do that. I mean, and everyone knows what brand it is. Everyone can plainly see what it is, unless you're doing something crazy, doing a complete new body shell or front clip, rear quarter. You're doing something totally outlandish with this car, turn into a 4x4 or something, jacking up an F40, making it off-road viable, that kind of stuff. People will know exactly what that car is and what brand it is and how it started life out. I don't see what their point is in trying to come after that fact and doing it. Plus, the fact is, if you're going after someone that's like a YouTuber, Instagram, whatever, TikToker, they're just going to take that, and that's just fodder for their followers and what they can put out there. It's almost like they want to get that cease and desist because you want to talk about content. That's good for 4 or 5 episodes and talk about stuff in the future because you can always go back and reference it and drop it in there. Oh, and if you haven't seen that, go back and watch this video. That kind of stuff. So it's almost like they're daring Ferrari to send them the cease and desist because they want it. And again, like these one gentlemen that are doing that supposed, as they like to say, the only one in the world, they mention it quite often in their videos when they're talking about this car that, oh, we haven't got it yet, why not? And they even use the tease that they've gotten a cease and desist supposedly, but then it's something completely different. That clickbait shit, doing the bait and switch stuff on you to get you to watch the video. And oh, we got to watch all the way to the end. It's a 40-minute video. Yeah, well, you can just fast forward the video. You don't have to sit there and watch the whole damn thing because it's basically always the same stuff. There's really nothing never new in it. You got to wonder about the life of these because, look at it as, a show, a sitcom. And well, I guess it used to be on regular TV, but now wherever. It's got a life to it because it runs its course because you only can repackage and regurgitate something so many times, so many different ways, then you're done. So unless you get real creative, and again, then these YouTubers, they start going nuts and start doing stupid crap. They totally deviate away from what they actually started the channel out at as an automotive channel. Look at some of these really big ones that get a lot of followers. Look at Whistling Diesel. How he started out. Look at what he's doing now. What was his latest one? Someone gave him, I think it was more advertisement for his lawyer or whatever it was, but they took this guy's Rolls Royce and beat the shit out of it in LA and then Vegas. And that's all I did was just go out and destroy the car, just drive him like an asshole. I just started watching Cletus McFarland. I never really got into what he was doing, but after his little NASCAR stuff, running the ARCA race, stuff like that, I started watching, he's not a bad dude. Guy's super smart. I'll give him that. I mean, super intelligent guy, knows what he's doing, but kind of getting away from his Freedom Factory and the race stuff like that, because from my understanding, because he was just on Dale Jr.'s Dirty Mo Media's podcast and dropped the bomb that their thing is to build the shortest, smallest aircraft boat carrier, I guess you could say, that's only going to be 3 pontoon boats long, so it's like 60 or 70 feet. Because I guess, he's a really good pilot. Garrett Mitchell is his real name. So I guess Garrett's a super talented pilot, and he does stall competitions. And those you don't know what stall competition is, take these single engine prop planes, Cessnas, whatever, and you're able to take off in like 50, 60 feet and land them short and all this kind of crazy stuff. It's very, I don't want to say acrobatic, but it's really cool stuff. I mean, it takes a lot of talent to do it, because it's one thing to kind of fiddle around on the ground with the car and stuff like that, you stall whatnot, but when you're up in the air in a plane, you're 500 feet in the air, even 100 feet in the air, and something screws up, you're falling 100 feet flat straight to the ground, yeah, you're dead. So again, now you're talking, he's deviating away from what he originally doing the Freedom Factory, doing the races, doing that kind of stuff, because he's got to get the audience. Okay, I didn't just sidetrack way off of what I'm supposed to be talking about, again, in Ferrari and branding and image and stuff like that. So it goes back to his, my argument is how can the manufacturer, instead, not just Ferrari, how can they come back at you for something, especially if you're like the 4th, 5th, 6th owner of that said car? Because let's face it, people do not keep these cars for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. They keep them for a year, 6 months, get their use out of it, get their peacocking done, to go out and look at me, puff out their chest. Hey, I'm so cool. I got show all their friends off. Then they turn around and they sell it. A, they stretch themselves too thin, or B, they got bored of it, or who knows. You look at Carfax or history on these cars, a good majority of them, have had multiple owners in their short lives. Now, okay, if you got a 10-year-old car, 3 owners, okay, that's not bad. But when you have a 5-year-old car and it's gotten 6 owners, what's that telling you? And you look at the history, because it's going to tell you mileage, everything like that on it too. But how can you go after someone who's like, I'm the 5th person to own this car, so it's traded hands 4 times prior, but you're still coming at me saying I can't do this can't do what I want to the car? I don't understand it. And again, that's, how the law works and everything like that. And I think it boils down to a big thing is deep pockets. Let's face it. Who's really going to go back and try and battle Ferrari in the open court system? Because they got nothing but time and money. Now, okay, if you're a billionaire or whatnot, you're the same position. You got nothing but time or money. But is it really worth it to drop millions and millions of dollars to try and prove your point? Now, ego gets in the way for some of these people. I can see them doing it. But you don't hear about people battling this. Now, you do hear some people battling in regards to like that one. It was just with these Jaguar D-types they were building the replicas of. They start out, they built one for themselves, and again, then it blows up because someone sees it. Hey, can you build me one, da-da-da. And, after they've built in like 60, 70 of them, all of a sudden Jaguar comes after them saying, it's copyright infringement, blah, 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 all this stuff. They lost it first, but then they came back around and appealed it, da-da-da, and so they ended up winning. So then final cost, all this crap, it added up, but, Jaguar had to pay everything because these people won. So it's kind of, again, where's that line get drawn? And what legal right and recourse does a manufacturer have to go after someone? Because let's face it, you have these multi-billion-dollar corporations going after a little mom and pop, doing $500,000 a year. I mean, they know that they're just going to basically intimidate them and freak them out and scare them enough away that they're just going, okay, we'll stop. All right, yeah, hands up. Okay, I got it. We'll get rid of everything. But to those people with the Jags, I mean, that was a huge financial, basically bury them beyond broke in the poorhouse. They would have basically ended up in the end losing completely. But I think these manufacturers, they don't give a shit. They're like, they'll go in and just look who we are, flex their muscles and say, we're going to scare you, run. That kind of scenario. Being a bully. Instead of embracing it, now they said you have those smaller manufacturers. They embrace it. No, do that because it's your own car. See what we can do. Because think about it, when a car is designed and built, you're getting the vision of who's ever employed by that builder, manufacturer, that group, those people, that person, whatever, the outside entity, yada, yada. You see it all the time. But someone's looking at a car and say, well, I would have done this. Well, I might have tweaked this. I might have taken this line this way. Everyone's going to view something differently. The manufacturer's trying to build a car that, I want to say, appeals to a large audience instead of just like, F you, I don't care. This is what I like, and if you don't like it, then don't buy it. Well, no, they got to sell vehicles. They're going to stay in business. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Because if they can get away with it and bullying people and making it stop, everyone else is going to fall right in line. Look at what's been happening in regards to a lot of these manufacturers coming out with these Halo cars and basically making these owners sign documents stating that you cannot sell this for 2 years, or their legal action will be taken against you. Now, Ford did this, and they lost against John Cena, against his Ford GT, the new one. He bought it, and within 2 months, or turned around and sold it. He only made $500,000 on it, but Ford went after him. But Cena won. So what does that kind of tell you? What does that say? It's only worth what it's written on. That's the value of it because, a lawyer, it doesn't matter. Contracts, whatnot. Contract may be broken. If you got a good enough lawyer, they can work your way around it and get you out of, everything. Again, it all boils down to money. That's why it's unfortunate you get some of these people that are innocent that end up going to jail because they can't afford proper representation and they get screwed and then they're in jail and it takes 30 years for them to finally get acquitted, and then, then they don't get any money or it gets capped. I mean, that kind of stupid shit. But anyway, back to the point, because again, my ADD, OCD, whatever, all that stuff makes me go on these sidetracks. My brain works out that way, and I know some of you understand that. But anyways, back to my final point here. To what point does a manufacturer have the right to dictate to someone? Now, I agree when someone comes in, they're building a brand new car and ordering it from the factory, Ferrari, and whoever else can say, no, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to put that color combination. No, we can't do that. No. That's fine, because, hey, they're building what? They're controlling, because they still own that car. The transaction has not been completed. After the fact, I buy it, I own it. And especially if I'm like the 4th, 5th, 6th owner of said car, how can you come at me and tell me what I can and can't do with my car? Good taste, bad taste, whatever. If I want to put pink ponies all over it, polka dot, whatever. That's my car. I can do whatever the F I want with it. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how far they take this. And, Ferrari's very uppity and, they got their nose up in the air. So I could see them pushing this real far. I mean, they got very deep pockets and, yes, they're their own entity in public trade, but, they got fiat money behind them. So, trust me, it's a battle I don't think you want to get into because it's a battle I don't know. But again, it just boils down to how good your lawyers are. That's what it is. So, but anyways, that's my viewpoint on it. Be curious to see what you guys think. Shoot me an email, links in the thing, william@theferrarimarketplace.com. Let me know your thoughts. Because like I said, I'd like to get some other people here on the show. Let's chit-chat. Let's talk about some topics about Ferrari. I'd like to get other opinions. Let's talk about old stuff, new stuff, whatever. Reach out to me. Let's get you on the show and let's have some conversations. So again, check out the website, exoticcarmarketplace.com. Go to the ferrarimarketplace.com. It's our family of websites. We got everything on there. Check out motoringpodcast.net, our family of podcasts as well. So we are out there doing it to it. Stay tuned. New episode coming next week. Don't know the topic yet, but stay tuned because it'll be a fun one. Thanks, guys. Keep the wheels on the ground, right side up. Thanks.
This episode has been brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports as part of our Motoring Podcast Network. For more episodes like this, tune in each week for more exciting and educational content from organizations like the Exotic Car Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Break Fix, and many others. If you'd like to support Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network, sign up for one of our many sponsorship tiers at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. Please note that the content, opinions, and materials presented and expressed in this episode are those of its creator, and this episode has been published with their consent. If you have any inquiries about this program, please contact the creators of this episode via email or social media as mentioned in the episode.